Hey, it's Deanne here. Thank you so much for joining me for 6 simple steps to better health and lasting energy. We are going to go over a very simple plan for you to do all of these things to help you feel better and have more energy. Let's go ahead and get started. It's all about functional medicine. Instead of seeing you as your symptoms or as a specific disease and then prescribing you a medication, functional medicine actually looks at you as a whole person. We look at all of the things that you're doing, and there's a reason for that because the basic concepts of functional medicine are right here. We are all unique. Yes, we're all human beings and we all have a musculoskeletal system and a cardiovascular system, et cetera, et cetera. But many things have happened in our past that makes us very different from one person to another. It's how we were birthed, what we were fed after we were birthed. It's what we went through when we were younger. Did we have specific infections? What did we eat? Did we have trauma? Where did we grow up? All of those things matter. And so they make you who you are today. Our bodies are made of systems that are interconnected. So oftentimes I hear patients say, I have a thyroid condition. Everything else is fine, but my thyroid's not working well. So I have medication for that. Well, actually, the thyroid communicates very, very closely with the adrenal glands. So usually the adrenal glands actually have problems first, and then it moves to the thyroid. And usually everything starts in the gut. So usually there's some issues there first. So in functional medicine, we look at you as a whole. We always start in the gut because really most health, most problems start there, and then it moves outward. You probably heard me say that there is a very close connection between the gut and the brain. And that's why a lot of times when your gut is not working, you might get headaches, you might feel just really tired, you might get brain fog, even memory loss. So again, that's not really a problem in your head. It really starts in your gut. So we have to look at all these things. And lastly, everything matters. So this is what this presentation is about today. I have so many people ask me, what's that one thing I can do? What can I do for this? What can I do for that? And if you've ever seen my webinar, you know that I feel like one thing is just a Band-Aid. Medication is just a Band-Aid. So you really have to look at your entire lifestyle and your nutrition, and that is where everything matters. Okay, so we're looking to find the root cause of your issues, and we have to create balance in the body. You'll hear me say that a lot. Balance. Well, how do you do that? By following this simple plan that I'm going to go through today. All righty. So, who are you listening to? I am Deanne Newton. I'm a functional medicine physician assistant and nutritionist, and I have had lots of issues in my past with my gut. A long time ago, I had constipation, I had lots of hives, and I had a lot of food allergies, but I didn't realize that was starting in my gut. Didn't figure that out until later. Then I had IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. And at that point, nobody could really help me at all. And I really had to figure it out on my own. So I am so passionate about helping other women with their gut issues and helping them take control of their health so they can be the very best selves. All right, so let's move on. We only get one body. You can call it your temple, you can call it whatever you like, but you only get one. And it is amazing. Think about what we can do. We can run, we can jump, we can swim, we can create life. We can grow a life inside of us. That is pretty amazing. So our bodies need us to give them certain things so they can work efficiently. So the choices that we make can either help or harm our bodies. So that's really, really important. And you probably have never really thought about it that way. So when you have a choice of something to do or something to eat, you may want to stop and think, is this going to be good for me? Is this going to help my body? Is this going to make me healthier? Food, The principle of food is that we are taking in nutrients so we can then absorb those nutrients and make energy. So when I hear women talk about how they don't feel well, they're tired all the time, and then we talk about their nutrition, they don't put that link together. If you're not eating foods that are nutritious, then you're not going to be able to make lots and lots of energy. So then you're not going to feel great. So think about that. Next time you go to try to figure out what you're going to have for lunch or dinner, think about, is this food going to help me? Is it going to make me healthier? And lastly, we need to love ourselves. That's a lot of positivity. We need nurturing. We need to nurture our bodies. And a lot of times we maybe grew up in a way where people told us we weren't good enough, or we were too fat or too short or too this or too that. So maybe you don't feel like you love yourself now. But let me tell you, that is an important step into finding overall health. So that is something that I recommend you work on if you feel like that you don't have that right now. Okay, so I keep calling it a simple plan because I use the acronym SIMPLE. S is for sleep, I is for ingestion, meaning anything that we take in by mouth, movement, peace, love, and elimination. So we're going to go through each of these. So just remember, we're not picking, I don't want you to pick one of these and start working on it and think that everything is going to be fine. This is something that you want to do all of these things. All of these things add in and work together synergistically. Okay. So let's start with sleep. We sleep about a third of our lives, and our sleep is really important, not just the length of it, but the quality of it. And it's something essential. We must sleep. And I'm sure you've been through a time in the past where you didn't get a good night's sleep, or maybe a couple nights in a row, and you just felt really bad the next day. And, we can't be healthy if we're not getting that sleep, because that's when our body heals. That's when we make energy. So sleep really affects every part of our body, our brain, our immune system, our gut, our mood, everything. And we know lots of research out there that says a lack of sleep is very unhealthy and increases the risk of pretty much all disease, diabetes, autoimmune disease, heart disease, all of it. Okay. So grab your pen and paper. This is where I would love for you to take some notes. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. So I don't want to give you too much information so you feel overwhelmed. So it's going to be simple, but there might be things that you want to write down. So factors affecting your sleep. You may not have really thought about this. You may just try to go to sleep, and then you toss and turn, you get mad, you wake up, you don't know what to do. You go down, watch some TV, but there's lots of things, the environment in which you sleep, that are very important. So things that are going to prevent you from having a good night's sleep: eating a heavy meal or a spicy meal too close to bedtime. And that is because, first off, you're going to start digesting your food. And when you're digesting, your body doesn't want to go to sleep. It's actively digesting. If you eat and then you lie down, a lot of times that food that hasn't made it down into the stomach, or it's just made it into the stomach, will actually come back up, and you will have reflux, acid reflux, or heartburn. Pets in your bed. I love pets. I'm an animal person, but if you have a pet in your bed that is constantly waking you up, jumping up and off and on the bed, or licking your face or something like that, then of course that can affect your sleep. The amount of light exposure. We do best in a dark, dark environment. And that is because our bodies live on this cycle, this diurnal or circadian rhythm, where we are awake during the light and we're asleep during the dark. And that is because our hormones go along with that. When it gets dark outside, we start to increase melatonin, because melatonin gets our body ready for bed. And then as it gets light in the morning, the melatonin decreases, and now our cortisol increases so we can get up and be ready for the day. So if you have a lot of light on, then that melatonin will not be able to activate your body and get it ready for bed. Alcohol in the evening. Now, a lot of people think alcohol, it is a depressant, so they think it's going to help them sleep. But in reality, it doesn't allow you to have good REM sleep. It affects the quality of your sleep. So, yes, you may fall asleep, but you're not getting that good sleep that's really allowing your brain to detox and your body to heal and all of those things to happen. So, use of a computer, tablet, or cell phone, they emit blue light, and blue light will inhibit your melatonin, again, not allowing your body to get ready for bed. If you don't eat dinner, if you skip dinner or you eat very, very early, you may actually have a drop in blood sugar. And so while you're sleeping, you may actually wake up because your body needs energy. Exercising too close to bed just can really keep you in that stress response. So it's hard to get ready for sleep. And then pain. Of course, if you're in pain and you are waking up often, it's going to be difficult to sleep well. You can think of something like CBD ointment. Maybe you need to put a pillow between your knees, and that will help with pain in your hips or pain in your knees. So that's always going to be a factor as well. So, how to get better sleep? Again, I'm making this simple. The first two are the most important. Go to bed at the same time each night. You may vary from that on the weekends, but really during the week, if you can go to bed at the same time every night, it's going to be so much better. Like I said, our bodies like a rhythm, a diurnal rhythm, a circadian rhythm. And so they want to do the same thing every day. Then our bodies can just kind of automatically get us ready for bed. So if you are one of those who goes to bed at 1 o'clock, what I recommend is that for the next 3 nights, try to go to bed at 12. And then after that, you can move it up to 11, and then ideally up to 10 o'clock. Now that it's getting cold and it gets dark earlier, you may even want to go to bed earlier because the clock kind of changes in our body. Now, you think, well, how am I going to go to bed earlier? I'm not used to that. Well, the key is to have a cool down routine. So let me explain our nervous system. We have an autonomic nervous system. That's our stress response. It gets us ready to flee or fight. Then we have the parasympathetic nervous system. It is our rest and digest. We want to be in the rest and digest for the majority of the day unless we have something serious going on, we're defending ourselves, or there's something critical going on, then we move into our stress response. We must be in the rest and digest in order to sleep. So if your mind is racing and you can't stop thinking, you're obviously not in your rest and digest. So we have to do things to shift us from one to the other. So you can write these down and see which ones sound interesting to you, but everybody is different. One thing, you can take a cool shower before you go to bed. When we sleep, our core body temperature actually decreases slightly. So if you can help that out early and you can take a cold shower or put cold water on your face when you're rinsing your face, that can actually help. Things like reading a book instead of watching TV. TV can be very active and it can be very stressful just watching something on TV. So that can be problematic. You can do some breathing exercises, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. You can use essential oils. You can just relax. That is going to get your body ready for sleep. Now, other things, again, we talked about complete darkness. If there's a light on outside that you can't do anything about, then think about blackout shades or blackout drapes. I actually use an eye mask every night. If you have an alarm clock by your bed, you can always buy one where you can actually turn down the light so you don't see it. And temperature. Temperature is best between 60 and 67. Everybody is different. You may want to think about how much you wear to bed and then the covers. If you wear a lot of clothing, you may want to have less covers. If you don't wear very much, then you might just need a light blanket. It just depends where you live and the temperature in the room. All righty. Let's move on to ingestion. So we're really going to be talking about food and water here. So we take in food for energy. Again, we're feeding the cells in our body. We're helping our gut. We are preventing disease and inflammation in the body. This is going to sound very simple, but everyone needs to be reminded about these things. I have to think about it every time I eat. Most of us do not do these things. Sit down to eat. If you're standing in the kitchen or you're standing in the break room and you're eating while you're doing other things, I can guarantee you that you're not relaxed enough for your food to be digested properly. So try to remember to sit down before you eat. Next, try not to be doing anything else. Be present. Just eat. Don't be watching TV or talking to other people or on a phone call. Just eat and take a look at your food, smell your food, be thankful for your food. And lastly, when you start to eat slowly, small bites. It's much healthier to take smaller bites and to chew them thoroughly. Why? Because we have to break down the food in order for us to be able to absorb the nutrients. The nutrients are very small particles inside the food. So our teeth help us break it down. And then the enzymes in our mouth also help break it down. So as much as can be broken down in the mouth, then also in the stomach is definitely going to help make for better absorption later on. All right. So I know your mother told you when you were younger, chew, chew, chew. And you may think about it, stop and think about it. You may take a bite, you may pick up your water, drink it down, and gulp your food down. So if that's something that you're doing and you have acid reflux or heartburn, that's one of the main reasons why. So this is an important thing to think about. Tips for eating. 3 meals a day, about 4 to 5 hours in between. Now, we used to think it was great to have 6 small meals a day, and you may still have somebody telling you that that's the best thing. Now, if you have some kind of issue that may be good for you, it's usually a blood sugar issue, but let me explain. We have a system called the MMC, the migratory motor complex. And it is kind of like when you go into a movie and the movie's over and you leave and somebody comes down and kind of sweeps up all the popcorn kernels and everything that's left over. Well, that's what the migratory motor complex does. It sweeps down through the digestive system, cleaning up anything that's left over. And this really helps continue the movement the correct way. If you've ever heard of SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, what that is the bacteria that's in our colon gets backed up into our small intestine. And that can happen if this migratory motor complex isn't working efficiently. So just think about that. Eating plant-based whole foods, always important because those are the things that actually contain the antioxidants, contain the vitamins and minerals that we need to absorb and make our energy. And it's always a great idea to cook the majority of your meals because then you know what you're eating. When you eat out, you don't know how it's prepared. You don't know what food they bought. You're probably taking in a lot of environmental toxins, glyphosate, chemicals, insecticides, and pesticides. You don't know if it's genetically modified. So think about preparing more of your food at home. All righty. So I will tell you right now, if you have lots and lots of gut issues and you know that there's only a few foods you can eat, then you already know that you are at the place in your life where you need to seek help. We need to figure out what the root cause is for that. And I will talk about that at the end of this presentation. But otherwise, we need to balance every one of our meals with protein, healthy fat, and vegetables. Every meal. And protein is beans, lentils, nuts and seeds, eggs, wild-caught fish, pasture-raised chicken, grass-fed beef. Healthy fat. We need healthy fat. Our brains and our heart must have healthy fat. Avocado, nuts, seeds, olives, olive oil, salmon, sardines, eggs, and then veggies. That's our fiber. The colorful veggies are wonderful because every single color contains different nutrients. Leafy greens are great for us. So think about this, start looking at your plate and make sure you have some protein, some healthy fat, and some vegetables at every meal. Other foods to fill up on: leafy greens, berries, mushrooms, cruciferous vegetables like Brussels sprouts and cabbage and cauliflower and broccoli, beets, seeds, nuts, beans, lentils, turmeric, and green tea. Again, I keep saying some of the same foods over and over again. These are the foods that are super healthy for us. All right, so let's move on to water. Why do we need to hydrate? All of these reasons. Regulates our body temperature, lubricates our joints, delivers nutrients to cells, improves sleep quality, keeps our organs functioning properly. If you, during the day, are fatigued, you may want to drink some water. If you feel some brain fog, drink some water. If you have a headache, drink some water. A lot of times you're just dehydrated. If you have a food craving, specific food craving, instead of reaching for that food, drink some water, because a lot of times you are just dehydrated. It's super important to take in water every day. We recommend at least drinking a half of your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 120 pounds, divide that into two, that's 60. You want to drink at least 60 ounces of water a day. You know, there's 8 ounces in a glass, so that's approximately 8 glasses of water. Now, if you're exercising and sweating a lot, then you definitely want to increase that amount. If you don't like water, or you've been drinking lots and lots of soda, then what I recommend is take the amount of soda that you're drinking normally in a day and decrease it over time. So if you're drinking a can of soda a day, then the next 3 days, try to drink maybe 3/4 of a can, and then go down to a half a can, and then 1/4 of a can, and then stop altogether. Because if you stop soda with the amount of caffeine and chemicals that are in soda, it can give you a headache and it can be harder to consistently stay off of it. So if you do use a stepwise approach, it will be easier. And while you're going down on your soda intake, start drinking your water in between. Now, I know when I stopped drinking soda way back when, I didn't really want to drink water. I didn't think it had any flavor or any taste. So I kind of had to do that in between step where I added fruit, I added mint, or I even drank the water at the grocery store that had a little bit of flavoring in it. And that was just my stepwise approach. I did that for a period of time, and now that's pretty much all I drink is water. But you can certainly add fruit. You can add lemon juice, lime juice, mint, whatever you want to add a little pizzazz. And drinking things like tea, lots of water in tea. So you can also increase the amount of water you're drinking that way as well. All right, let's move on to movement. As you know, our bodies require movement. There's plenty of research out there that talks about sedentary lifestyle that increases all disease and obesity, inflammation. We just don't want that. So I'm not talking about running a marathon. I'm not talking about doing anything crazy. I'm just talking about moving, activity. It improves your brain health. It manages your weight. It reduces your risk of all disease. It can decrease the inflammation that you already have in your body. It's going to strengthen your muscles and your bones. And we have something called the lymph system. It's like the garbage disposal of our body. And basically, when our immune system is getting rid of bacteria and foreign stuff in our body, it sends it to the lymph, into our lymph nodes, and then it has to move through the body. But it can't move by itself. There is no heart pumping the lymph like the heart pumps oxygen. So only by us moving and using our muscles does the lymph move through the system. And that's really important because we have to get that lymph, we have to get rid of that lymph. So my recommendation to you is to find something that you like to do so it's not exercise. When people say, I have to exercise, I have to do this, it's one of those things that you're probably not going to do. You're going to make up every excuse not to do it. So don't think of it as something you have to do or as exercise. Just call it movement. Call it something as easy as walking. You can go outside, walk down to your stop sign, and every day walk a little bit further. It's as easy as that. Jump on a bike, ride around the block, and then just start increasing the amount that you're doing. Yoga and stretching. If you have injuries, if you can't do a lot of walking, then you can get on YouTube and you can do yoga. There's yoga in the chair. If you have specific injuries, you can do stretching. All of those things are a perfect place to start. There is a free 7-minute app. So if you're a busy person and you always say, I can't find the time to do exercise, it's a free app. There's great exercises, lots of different ones to choose from. And so no excuses, right? Swimming is my favorite. You're in the water. It's cool. It doesn't feel like you're doing exercise. It's really refreshing. So find something that you like to do. And one thing I didn't mention is many of us sit at our desks all day long. And that's lots of the research that's come out recently is about that, how just sitting at your desk all day long without moving around increases your risk for disease. So a great thing you can do is use your handy dandy cell phone and set a timer, set an alarm that goes off every 20 or 30 minutes. So you make sure you get up and you walk around. That's when you can take your bathroom break, walk around and talk to somebody else, walk outside if you work from home. That is a wonderful way to increase the amount of movement that you do every day. Now let's talk about peace. This is all about stress management. Stress is the number one problem and number one root cause for disease and illness. Many women I talk to, they don't even think they're stressed out. When when I ask them on a scale from 1 to 10 in the different areas of their life, a lot of times it's a very low number. But when I start to ask them more questions, it's very evident that their stress level is high. And again, it's going to be difficult to sleep when you're stressed. It's going to be difficult to digest when you're stressed. So we need to learn how to turn off that stress response and be able to move into that rest and digest response. So ways to relax. Number one, I think the most important thing is to not overschedule yourself. If you're constantly moving left and right and doing things and going to pick somebody up, of course you're going to be stressed out. The body is just not meant to be doing that type of work all the time. You need breaks in between. We're going to go over some breathing in a few minutes, so you can at least do some breathing in between. But when you're looking at your schedule, your calendar, make sure there's time for yourself. Now, I know as parents, it can be very, very difficult because you've got a family to run. You've got a household to run. You're taking your kids here and there, especially as they get older. Just remember that it's important that you take some time for yourself. Maybe it's just it's a bath. Maybe it's in the shower. Who knows? Just find something to where you are by yourself and you can calm your body down. Other ways, listening to music, reading, breathing, which we're going to talk about, essential oils. Some people are like meditation. So all of those things can help. Breathing is the simplest and fastest way to decrease your stress, your anxiety, and your overwhelm. It is a specific way of breathing. So it's belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. We have a diaphragm that's in between our lungs and our belly. And that, when we can actually push that down and really open up all of our lungs, that will shift us from that sympathetic nervous system, that stress response, over to the parasympathetic system or the rest and digest, which is hugely important and what we want. So let's learn right now. Go ahead and put your hand on your belly and just breathe normally. You probably aren't really feeling too much because most of the time when we breathe, we're breathing up high in our chest. But what I want you to do is start breathing slower and longer. So longer inhales and slow and long exhales. Now, to make this belly breathing, when you inhale, you're actually going to push your belly out. I know most of the time we're always trying to hold our bellies in, so it might feel a little different for you, but I want you to push your belly out. So your hand is going to be moving away from your body. So as you breathe in, push that belly out. Open your mouth and exhale out. Just a nice long sigh. Keep doing that. And it may take some time to really get used to it, but you want to keep your hand on your belly. And that's going to tell you that when your hand's moving away from the body, then you're actually pushing that diaphragm down and you're activating that nerve called the vagus nerve to switch you over to the rest and digest. So inhale and exhale is a cycle of 1. I recommend doing a cycle of 10 at least. So when you get anxious, when you're stressed, a cycle of 10. If you still don't feel like you're calm, do another 10. The great thing is you can do this anywhere. I say close your eyes here. You do not have to close your eyes. So while you're driving, you can still do this breathing. You can do it anywhere. While you're shopping, while you're in the grocery store, wherever, you can do this breathing. So that is the wonderful thing about it, is that it's simple and quick. Okay. So play around with that, and that will help you get into that rest and digest mode and help calm your body down. L is for love. Now, we are talking about loving yourself and loving others, but I'm going to really talk about loving yourself. Super, super important. We need self-love, we need compassion, and we need forgiveness. And when we don't have these things, we're holding in a lot of negativity. Negativity causes more stress in the body. Stress causes the adrenal glands to release that cortisol level. And so we're getting ready to fight or flee. And so we're in that stress response. So we want to get rid of that negativity. And I know that a lot of this starts when we're younger. It depends how you grew up, what household, what your parents said to you, your teachers, your kids, your brothers and sisters. So there can be a lot of work that needs to go on here, but let's start with the basics. So tips for self-love. Make sure you do something you love every single day. I recommend getting a sheet of paper and writing down a list of things that you love, that make you happy, that make you just say, gosh, I love life. And things that don't cost a lot, things that are easy to do. And then make sure you do something on that list every single day. So it could be, watch your child. It could be hug your husband. It could be go for a walk. It could be watch the sunset. It could be play with your animal, whatever it is. But write those down and make sure you do at least one a day. Stop judging yourself. Say kind things to yourself and give yourself grace. And like I said, if you've been doing this your entire life, if you've been not doing this your entire life, if you've been judging yourself, it can be difficult to just turn around and change that. But it is something to work on. We are all human. We all make mistakes. And one of the best ways to think about this is, how would you treat your best friend? I'm sure with love, I'm sure you would support that person and all of those things. So why don't you treat yourself the way that you treat your best friend? That would be the best way to look at it. And you can start by looking at yourself in the mirror every single day. And instead of saying negative things, you look at yourself in the eye and you say, I love you just the way you are. Or if it's stronger for you to say, I love me just the way I am. And if you do that every day, just like everything, we need to continuously do things over time to make it a habit. Then you can start changing these old patterns. Forgiveness. Studies have found that forgiveness can cause such wonderful things in our body. It can decrease heart attacks. It can lower cholesterol levels. It can improve your sleep, reduce pain. So again, realizing that you are human and you're going to do things that maybe you weren't expecting, and you didn't reach your own expectations, and you need to be able to forgive yourself, because you know that you're just doing the best you can. All righty. E is for elimination. We're almost there. So, I would have to talk about poop. So, we cannot be our healthiest and feel our best if we're not pooping regularly. And I know for some of you, you may feel that you've never pooped regularly, that you've had constipation your entire life. And if that's the case, then again, I recommend that you reach out for help, because again, you're never going to reach your potential if you're not regular. And that means pooping at least once a day, if not 2 or 3 times, because we have waste products. We're constantly breaking things down that need to get out of the body. And if we're not pooping, then it's just recirculating in our body and causing problems. So again, pooping at least once a day and up to 3 times a day is what we are looking for. So all of these things we've talked about can definitely help you be regular. Now, if you've had a full 30 years of your life where you've had constipation, it's going to take a lot more than just this. So you need to reach out for help. So we've talked about eating a balanced meal every 4 to 5 hours and making sure it's balanced with that protein, that healthy fat, and the vegetables. And then, of course, eating lots of fiber. So when I talk about fiber, I'm not talking about bread and cereal. I'm talking about veggies, fruit, nuts, seeds, and lentils and beans. A lot of times when people think of fiber, they only think of bread. And actually, grains can be very problematic for most people. They can actually slow down digestion. Drinking water daily. We already talked about the importance of that. That helps move things through the system. And reducing or removing processed products. You see, I don't even call them food. They're products. Food is, whole food, things that are grown in the ground, on trees, in bushes. These processed things that come in a bag and a box that are made from grains, in usually, in a big factory, are not full of nutrition, and they're not helping you at all. So removing those are going to help tremendously. Being active daily. And one more thing, I highly recommend that you elevate your feet when you are pooping. And you probably heard of, different footstools you can use. The squatty potty, that's actually a great thing to have, because it puts your body in a little bit better posture for pooping. Your feet are up higher, you're sitting up straight. It's more of a squatting motion. Unfortunately, the potties out there, when you buy a toilet, they're getting higher and higher. And that can, some people like it because they may be tall or they may have hip problems, but in reality, it makes the act of pooping more difficult. All right, so let's summarize everything. It's all about balance. So it's about doing all of these things, making healthy decisions, seeing food as energy, loading up on water, finding time to relax, getting good quality sleep, being active daily, loving yourself, and pooping daily. So now you have a choice. Follow this simple plan. I hope you've written some things down so you can start following something out of every one of those categories to help move you into better health. If not, if you're just going to stay where you are, then you're probably going to stay with the health that you have, because understand that we have to make changes in order to change our health. You can't do what you've been doing and expect to improve your health. So it's all about being the best you. It's all about having a happy mind. That's more positivity. That's taking care of yourself, loving your body, realizing that you have this amazing body that you need to take care of. A healthy gut. That means putting in that good, healthy nutrition, drinking lots of water, staying away from the things that you know aren't great for you, nourishing your body. all about these wonderful things. So I know making changes is really hard to do on your own. And that's why I love to help people, because sometimes you you think you've already tried everything, but you may have tried some of these things, but at not all together. That's the important thing, is it's about balance. So yes, if you've been eating healthy but you haven't been doing all the other things, then you aren't going to be at your best. So if you've been struggling with gut issues, maybe it's a diagnosis, maybe you have a diagnosis of IBS or SIBO, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, or maybe you just have a lot of bloating and gas. You don't know what the issue is, or you have acid reflux. Maybe you realize your way isn't working. You've gone to the doctor, their way didn't work. It may have helped a little bit, but it's not the answer that you want. You're looking for a more natural way that you don't have to take a pill all the time. And if you're sick and tired of just not understanding what's going on, and you're open-minded and coachable, then please book a complimentary call with me so we can talk about how I can help you. And thank you so much for making it to the end of this presentation. I hope you have learned a lot, and you can start with this simple plan. My free gift to you is a call. It's a 45-minute call where we will talk about what's going on with you. And if I feel like I can help, then I'll tell you what that looks like. And here is the link, deannenewton.com/apply. That's DEANNEWTON.com/apply. When you use that link, it will take you to a calendar where you can pick a time for the call, and then it will take you to a short questionnaire. Please fill that out. That just gives me a little bit more information. I would love to chat with you, so I would love for you to schedule the call now. And just remember, this is a simple plan. It's just a few things to kind of tweak, to change. You want to do it on a regular basis. Please don't expect to make changes, and the second night that you've made these changes and you're like, nothing's changed, it's going to take longer than that. It's a habit. I want you to try to do these things for the long term, for 1 month, and then make it 2 months and 3 months. These are things that you will do your rest of your life. That's why we try to make it as simple as possible. All right, that is it. I will take a look and see if there are any questions. I see. Thank you so much. You covered everything nicely. I don't have any questions. All right, great. Here's a question about food again. Yes, so everyone is different. So there is no one diet for everyone. Just like I said at the beginning, we're all unique. So I do not recommend one specific diet for everyone. I like to work with people and find out what's going on. And then sometimes we have to do diet in stages. Sometimes we have to do a calming food plan, and then a healing food plan, and then more of a regular food plan. So it really just depends on what's going on in the gut. There has to be some healing. We have to repair some damage that's been there for years. So that is a hard question to answer. So it just depends on what's going on with you. And exercise. Can you exercise too much? Yes, actually, you can. I think that there's always a time in your life where, when you were younger, you may have done a lot of aerobic activity and you may have really liked to sweat. And then there may be a point in your life where you realize you prefer things like yoga. Basically, we put ourselves in that stress response when we are exercising. And so if you're already in that stress response all the time, and then you're doing lots and lots of exercise, it may be really hard to cool down in the evening and get some sleep. So you may want to consider doing some yoga, doing some stretching, doing some Tai Chi. Yoga is all about breathing with movement. And so you're actually staying calm during the whole yoga class. So it's a different way of thinking about it. You're not sweating the whole time. You're not running. So think about different forms of exercise and mix it up. All right, that looks like that is it for questions. Thank you so much. I hope you've learned something. I hope this will help you feel so much better. And again, if you need some help, reach out. DeAnnenewton.com/apply. I would love to chat with you and see how I can help. All right, have a wonderful day. Bye bye.